1981. The day was long till I heard the song whistle like the wind. And I was standing there, dust was flying through the air, like days before when we believed in things we couldn't see. Oh, my red wing, take me softly to my home now, to my family. Oh, my red wing, hold me closely, take me under the brightest sun. When the day is done and another night has come, I'll rest my weary bones and pray the bird I love hasn't flown away, and I will call again up to my kindest friend. The ground below will be set free, with my love I'll be. Oh, my red wing, take me softly to my home now, to my family. Oh, my red wing, hold me closely, take me under the brightest sun. Softly to my home now, to my family. Oh, my red wing, hold me closely, take me under the brightest sun. Now that we've begun to see how much we've won, we'll leave behind the thoughts unkind, and our hearts will open wide. And when our time has come and all our days are done, if heaven waits, we'll breach the gates, on red wings we'll be one. Oh, my red wing, take me softly to my home now, to my family. Oh, my red wing, hold me closely, take me under the brightest sun, take me under the brightest sun.
Yeah.
You are listening to River City Folk, live from Artichoke Music on Powell Boulevard in Portland, Oregon. We are so glad to be back here in these hallowed halls this afternoon. My guests this week, all the way from Bellingham, Washington, are Cabin Fever Northwest, Dianne Bochsler and Tara Caldwell. And they started us off with a song called Red Wing, their interpretation of that song. It's obvious when I listen to your music, and I've heard a lot of it over the years, your reverence for traditional styles and flavors in music. And it really shows through not only in the kind of songs like that where you adapt a traditional melody and tune, but also in the kind of songs you write yourself. Where does that come from, Tara?
Oh, it totally comes from all my family roots. My grandfather played the banjo. There's fiddlers that go back generations in our family. And for me personally, when I was just a little child, I think I was about 3 years old, and we lived in a mining town up in Braylor in British Columbia. And my father was a miner there. And we hosted a minstrel, a traveling minstrel. and he played the banjo and sang. And apparently all I did was follow him around everywhere he went and listened. And I imprinted right then and there on the banjo and on that style. And then have been really, so inspired by Pete Seegar over the years, also as a banjoist.
What a great story. What a wonderful memory to have. For yourself, what is the story behind your entrancement with this music, Dianne?
Well, I have to say I love all kinds of music. I have a very diverse music collection in my mind all the time. Never, ever is there a moment without a song in my head. But my dad played guitar and sang, and he said, if you want to have a good time, you get a group of friends and you sit down with your guitar and you start playing and singing and see what happens. That's kind of what we did, So he had a love for all of the old country singers, and he played guitar and dobro and mandolin, and so that was, that imprinted on me.
What brilliant advice from your father, and now you've both been doing it for 20 years in front of audiences all over the United States. You've got a recording for us to hear today by John Reichman, the great player, and John Miller. This is called Don't Wake Me Up. What is it about this particular recording that means so much to both of you?
Of course, when you hear it, it is so beautiful. But John Miller was an early influence for us. He was kind of like a mentor for us. He helped Tara with learning some banjo, me with learning guitar, helping us find some old songs and learning some arrangements from them. And then we just decided on a very, very crazy whim to ask John Reichman if maybe he might just want to join us on our very, very first album attempt. And he went, sure, just let me know when. We were blown away. So John Reichman has been there with us from the beginning as well.
Two legendary Northwest musicians in this country, John Reichman and John Miller. Don't Wake Me Up on River City Folk.
Missing you and all the things you say and do every day. It's so hard when you're away. I get so blue. Have to face the day alone. Hope you know I never wanted you to go. Just so you know, just so you know, I wrote you a love letter. Just so you know, just so you know, I wrote you a love letter. So you know, you're the only one for me. Perfect match, just the way it's supposed to be, like a dream. All the miracles you bring, and it's true that you are my everything. Just so you know, just so you know, I wrote you a love letter. Just so you know, just so you know, I wrote you a love letter. I'm okay and the kids are doing fine. Busy days, I'm in motion all the time. All I need, all I know to make things right is to have you safe at home tonight. Until the sun goes down, quiet house, not another living sound. I count the stars like you wanted me to do every night, but I can't can't find the one for you. Just so you know, just so you know, I wrote you a love letter. Just so you know, just so you know, I wrote you a love letter. So you know, so you know, I wrote you a love letter. Just so you know, so you know, I wrote you a love letter. Just so you know, just so you know, I wrote you a love letter.
We heard two pieces of music on River City Folk. I'm your host, Tom May. We heard, beginning that set, John Reichman and John Miller with a song called Don't Wake Me Up. Then, my guests today here on River City Folk, all the way from Bellingham, Washington, close to the Canadian border, Cabin Fever Northwest, Dianne Bochsler and Tara Caldwell with their lovely song, Love Letter. So between the two of you, who writes most of these songs?
Well, I would say it's an even split. In fact, we're so much like Lennon and McCartney that we just, every song that we do, we say is written by both of us. And in general, that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. It's usually, you know, one of us has the song and kind of comes up with it, and then the other one helps, you know, turn it into the song that it turns into. So there are songs we collaborate on. A lot of times we write separately and then get together and sort of, you know, turn them into these wonderful songs.
Well, the results speak for themselves. They're just lovely. And one of the distinguishing factors in your songs is the sound of that frailing old-time banjo. Most people, if they're familiar with the banjo at all, are more familiar with the Scruggs style kind of attack and sound. But what you're doing is very much older than that. Goes back, and you principally do it with your thumb, don't you, Tara?
Yeah, it's just the thumb and index finger is what I play with, and it's a rhythmic style that allows you to play the full chord and any notes and do a little bit of hammer-ons or slides or something like that for interest. But it accompanies singing so beautifully, and I can accompany myself, and it fits really well with our sound. And I also think that it's a much more feminine sound, which certainly goes with our music.
Well, it's an evocative base to what you do. It works so very well. You've got another recording for us to hear by somebody who I'm totally unfamiliar with, so you'll have to enlighten me on where these guys come from, the Downtown Mountain Boys. But we're going to hear a waltz, and I love waltzes. So where does this song and where do these guys come from?
Well, the song is written by the fiddle player who plays it. That's Paul Elliott. And we were lucky enough to get to know him a few years ago, and he's officially our fiddle player for our band. He can't be here today because he's part of the Sons of the Pioneers, believe it or not. So he can be a pretty busy guy, but he also has a band in Seattle, and it's called the Downtown Mountain Boys. And this is him playing with his full band on this particular song. It's so beautiful. I've got the keys to my daddy's yellow Mustang, a tape of Janis singing the blues. I got the pedal to the floor, you won't see me anymore. I'm putting distance between me and you. I've always had a thing for a fast engine, the kind to take me where I wanna go. When I first met you, I said, let's see what you can do. But your RPMs were set too low. Since I was sweet 16, I've loved this Mustang. It's got all that it takes under the hood. You never were my speed, you lack the horsepower that I need. I'll find a gear that makes me feel good. Now I've got the keys to my daddy's yellow Mustang, a tape of Janis singing the blues. I got the pedal to the floor, you won't see me anymore. I'm putting distance between me and you. You knew just how to make me happy. You thought I had my sights set on your star, but my eyes were on mag wheels and fuel injection. My heart belongs to Daddy's yellow car. Lucky for me, Daddy never liked you. He said you were too weak around the knees. He said, son, you just forget her. My daughter can do better. Then he offered me one fine set of keys. Now I've got the keys to my daddy's yellow Mustang, a tape of Janis singing the blues. I got the pedal to the floor, you won't see me anymore. I'm putting distance between me and you.
You are listening to River City Folk. I'm your host, Tom May, at Artichoke Music in Portland, Oregon on Powell Boulevard. And we are so happy to get to the other side of this crisis we've moved through this last year. And I invite you all to stop in if you're in the area at Artichoke Music. And I invite you all to celebrate with us today with this wonderful music. Yellow Mustang, that was Cabin Fever Northwest, Dianne Bochsler and Tara Caldwell. I'd like to say hello to all the folks who listen to River City Folk for many, many years now on radio station KIOS in Omaha, Nebraska, the Omaha Public Schools radio station. Thanks for tuning in today. That particular song was great fun. And right now we're going to hear a piece of music off of the newest CD that was recorded very, very close to here, just a couple of miles away at Medicine Whistle Studio in Portland, Oregon. My good friend Dan Rieger at the controls. And this particular song I was entranced with from the beginning. It's just got a great feel to it. It's called One More Time Around. And some of the musicians we talked about earlier played on this with you. So maybe you could mention their names again. It's really got there's something about this song that's addictive.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. I mean, when addiction is a good thing, and I think addiction to music is. One More Time Around, it's about all of us who are musicians. We're always looking for like another way. What's one more song? What's one more way that we can bring people through what's happening, or that we can lift spirits, or that we can just have fun?
Right, never want the party to stop, basically.
Never, ever, which is your dad's philosophy,
yeah,
right? And so our band is now, I mean, Dianne and I are performing here as a duo, but our band is a full quintet with Paul Elliott, our fiddler, Ed Johnson, who's lead guitar and vocal. And actually, Ed is one of the co-writers of this song you're about to hear. And then our bassist is Carrie Black. So we just had so much fun working this up and making the arrangement. So if you can imagine a late night, a campfire, a jam, and nobody wants to stop. There you have it.
I know that everybody will enjoy this song as much as I do myself. This is Cabin Fever Northwest with One More Time Around.
stars falling one by one. Each new flame will have its turn. Every day I'm looking for a better way to take us one more time around. You know these songs, they are my souvenirs. Believe in hopeful days, play on. One more time around. Take us one more time now. Follow me till the morning light. Feel that sun come shine down. We will go anywhere you want to go. Just sing us one more time around. Every day I'm looking for a better way to take us one more time around. Take us one more time now. Every day I'm looking for a better way to take us one more time around. You know these songs, they are my souvenirs. Believe in hopeful days, play on. Every day I'm looking for a better way to take us one more time around. Take us one more time now. Every day I'm looking for a better way to take us one more time around. Take us one more time now. Every day I'm looking for a better way to take us one more time around. Take us one more time now. Every day I'm looking for a better way to take us one more time around. Take us one more time now. Take us one more time now.
Cabin Fever Northwest from their CD Nightjar, One More Time Around. You are listening to River City Folk. I'm your host, Tom May. Dianne Bochsler and Tara Caldwell are my guests, and I think I mentioned earlier that 20 years now you've been performing. It probably doesn't seem like that long, but time passes quickly when you're having fun. And speaking of fun, what would be one of the most glittering, pleasurable memories you've had standing in front of a crowd performing for folks?
Boy, oh boy, we would love to just talk your ear off about this, let me tell you. But I think it was the very first time we got invited to play at the Florence Winter, it was then the Winter Folk Festival. It's now called the Winter Music Festival. We got invited to play there, and we felt like, wow, this was really exciting. When we got there and we saw what a big deal it was, we were a little blown away. And when the director of it kind of pulled us aside and said, so, you know, do you want to know how you guys got here? And I remember saying, I'm pretty sure it was a mistake, because we were like blown away by all these people, and he explained how the whole process goes and how they you get all these people sending in their music, and they whittle it down to a few, and then we got in the festival, and it was a really big deal for us. And at the end of it all, we won festival favorites. Yeah. So they've asked us back now several times.
Many times, yeah.
But that was like the first time it felt like, wow, okay, we've really done what we always wanted to do. And it was so fantastic. I love that festival, and if you ever get a chance, definitely go.
They have a very focus on traditional sounding music, such as yours, like the Old Songs Festival back on the East Coast. So I'm not surprised that they enjoyed your music so very much. That's the Florence Winter Music Festival, and that takes place in January, I believe, every year. So right now we're going to hear a song that you selected by a woman who's played more than her share of festivals throughout the years, the Kathy Kallick Band. And I've heard this song of hers before. It really is evocative and emotional. It's called This Beautiful World. When were you introduced to this song?
Well, this is a fairly new song of hers. It's on her latest CD, and we were introduced to... So our bassist, Carrie Black, is also the bassist for the Kathy Kallick Band, and when we have the occasion where he can sing a bass line for us, he sings bass, and he sings bass on this song as well. But this song is so beautiful. I mean, Kathy is an amazing songwriter and an amazing spirit, and she puts her whole heart into this prayer that she sings for us all, and it brings me to tears every time I hear it. So I really wanted to share this with your audience.
At the end of our day, when the light fades away, and our faith in all goodness wears thin.
14 below in Aurora, and my windows are covered with ice, and the snow is up to here like it is every year, and the world wears a wintry disguise. I used to dream of silver cities, but I never dreamed the price I would pay just to live here, where every heart is hard as ice. Take me back to Carolina, where I can see those summer skies, and I can see my own reflection, ooh, in your Carolina eyes. The train that used to hold these tracks down doesn't run here anymore, and the heart that once swung wide just stopped answering the door. They say you don't forget your first love, and I'm not forgetting you. Even if you never can go back again, in my mind that's all I do. Take me back to Carolina, where I can see Thank you.
36 years of music that makes a difference on River City Folk. I'm your host, Tom May. We're at Artichoke Music in Portland, Oregon this afternoon on Powell Boulevard. So glad to be here. So glad to be back. Dianne Bochsler and Tara Caldwell are my guests. Cabin Fever Northwest, and we just heard a song by them off of their most recent CD called Carolina Eyes, and that's a song that was written by someone you know that you really appreciate.
Yes, a very, very good friend of ours named Scott Katz, K-A-T-Z, and he's an amazing songwriter, and when we heard this one, we just asked if we could steal it from him, and he let us.
I'm sure he was delighted to hear you both sing it. And to hear it on the new album, too. It's a lovely rendition on the new album of that song. We were talking before the show about some other things you've had the opportunities to do throughout the years, but I don't think any of them probably are more fondly remembered than going to Beacon, New York, and being part of that festival with Pete Seegar. Tell us how that came about.
It was sort of a miracle. I can't even remember how it came about, but somehow we got asked to come to Beacon, New York and play at the Strawberry Festival. And we would just be in town and we'd see Pete driving he had a navy blue Subaru Outback wagon, which is the same car as Dianne had at the time. We're like, Dianne, he's got the same car. But the day of the festival, as we went up to play, what we realized was unbelievable was that Pete Seegar played before we did. We went on stage directly after he did. So it was just amazing to just be in the same air and the same space and share music in that way.
Had to be a little intimidating as well to follow Pete on stage.
I would say I was just more excited than anything. Nothing could contain that excitement, even intimidation. And he's so warm. He was so warm and welcoming. So, yeah.
It's a real honor that we had him as our mentor of all of this kind of music, really. And Pete left an impact that can never be understated, what he's done for music and for humanity as well. Pete Seegar. Cabin Fever Northwest are my guests today on River City Folk, and this is a song by another person who means a great deal to you both, a person who helped produce your albums and played with you at many shows. And we're going to hear a song, a recording by Ed Johnson, and this song is called Windbreak. What is it about this particular song of Ed's that attracts you to it?
Well, first, it's beautiful, but I mean, you can notice that the thing with Dianne and I is we're all about friendship. And we are just faithful, diehard friends that will do anything for each other. And our band is the same way. And this song is a song about friendship. And it was co-written by, the lyrics, I believe, are by Mimi Hills, so Ed and Mimi Hills. And then it's sung here and performed with Ed and his good friend, Linda Waterfall.
And Linda's no longer with us, so it's very, very important in that way as well. Ed Johnson and Linda Waterfall on River City Folk with the song Windbreak. Flowers I brought you last week are wilting by your bed. Book that I thought you would like lies by them unread.
Buddy worked the farm since his daddy lost an arm. They took him out of school to do his part, and he stayed away from bars, playing songs on his guitar, singing, when I am an old man, I'll be walking next to her. And Louise was tall and lean, quite a sight at 17. But he fell hard and he fell fast. He was shy to let it show, hoping and somehow she would know. When he sang, "You are my flower," he was singing it to her. I'll be walking next to her beneath the April sky, down in the Hudson Valley with the tall ships sailing by, where the riverbanks are dancing with the daffodils of gold. Arm in arm we'll walk together when we have both grown old. But he went to war when MacArthur gave the call. He thought he ought to go and do his part, but the happy man he'd been never made it home again. And now the only song he sings is, "I'm so lonesome I could cry." I'll be walking next to her beneath the April sky, down in the Hudson Valley with the tall ships sailing by, where the riverbanks are dancing with the daffodils of gold. Arm in arm we'll walk together when we have both grown old. Bits of paper into heart-shaped daffodils, sets them on her sunny windowsill, and she's waiting for him there, speaks his name into the air, and on every paper heart she writes, "You know I love you still." I'll be walking next to her beneath the April sky, down in the Hudson Valley with the tall ships sailing by, where the riverbanks are dancing with the daffodils of gold. Arm in arm we'll walk together when we have both grown old. Arm in arm we'll walk together when we have both grown old.
Yeah! You are listening to River City Folk. I'm your host, Tom May. We heard two pieces of music there, beginning with a song by their compatriot and fellow musician and writer Ed Johnson, his song Windbreak. That was followed by the Ballad of Ed and Louise from their newest CD, Nightjar. And I could hear a little bit of echoes of the Hudson Valley in that song.
Yes, the Ballad of Bud and Louise. Bud and Louise are my mom and dad, and I grew up in upstate New York, and so this is basically a true story on their lives. They divorced when I was young, and so this was a song I was trying to write for a really long time about my parents. And when I got to spend some time with my mom right before she passed, she talked about my dad. Even though they had never reconciled, she talked about him in very loving terms and said that when, someday she hoped to see him again because he was the love of her life. And I had a lot of trouble writing this song, and I brought it to my dear best friend and co-writer, Tara Caldwell, and together, we came up with a song, and we're not going to lie, it's like our favorite song. We just sing it. Only it took us months to be able to sing it without crying. But now, look at us now. We can sing it without crying.
It's a great song and a great tribute to those important people in your life. We talked about a couple of different festivals throughout this show, but Tara and Dianne, you come from a traditional background, as I mentioned, and Dianne, you play with the flat pick, as does the fellow who put this festival together. He's one of the preeminent flat pickers in the United States, Wayne Henderson. So to be able to go to his festival and to meet some of those folks down there, hot pickers all, and great singers, great harmony singers, that must have been a thrill for you both.
That was incredible. I've known Wayne for years because he teaches at Puget Sound Guitar Workshop, and I started taking classes from him many years ago, and I just fell in love with him, which everybody really does. He's so wonderful in so many ways, and he's also a luthier. He makes the most amazing guitars. And, you know, all we had to do was ask him and then remind him and ask him again a couple times if he would let us in his festival, and he did, and it was a fabulous trip. Ed Johnson was with us, and we just had an amazing time. It was just like, we were dreaming the whole time. It was fantastic and super fun.
You're around the corner, and then there's a Stuart Duncan, and there's all these people all around that you run into, the best on their instruments in the world, and it's really quite remarkable. I'm sure you both had just an incredible time there.
We certainly did.
Thank you so much for coming and performing for us today. You've got one more song to do, a traditional song actually, but before you do that, could you give your website address so people can access your recordings and be able to find out where you're going to be playing and how they can get a hold of your music?
Yes, thank you so much. Our website is cabinfevernw.com, so just cabinfevernw.com, and you can find our recordings there. You can purchase our CDs. You can track where we're going to be playing, hopefully more and more places.
Now that we're beyond what we've gone through this last 15 months or so, a lot more music beginning to happen. And that's what's been happening today on Powell Boulevard. Thank you so much for being part of the audience here in this venerable spot and around the country. This is Cabin Fever Northwest with a great traditional song to finish off today's program, Rough and Rocky.
Sea look wide and deep. Don't my baby look the sweetest when she's in my arms asleep? Can't you hear the night bird crying on that dark and lonely sea? Others you are thinking, won't you sometimes think of me? Don't this road look rough and rocky? Don't that sea look wide and deep? Don't my baby look the sweetest she's in my arms asleep? Don't
lots of trouble. Darling, you have broke my heart. Don't this road look rough and rocky? Don't that sea look wide and deep? Don't my baby look the sweetest when she's in my arms asleep? When she's in my arms asleep.
Thank you.